Get ready for Tea Talk, where the topics are real, relevant, and relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here's Lady O.
Thank you, Tracy. And hello to all of you as I see you're signing in. I tell you today, you really want to make sure you pass on to someone. You want to get on today because the topic today, we always say it's real. I can guarantee you it's real, it's relevant. I don't know how relaxing it's going to be because it's a little bit uncomfortable as we've been talking, the team, and it's gotten a little bit uncomfortable. So this is going to be one of those, woo, we're going to need to take a drink on that one of tea, of course, right? Well, the topic today is going to be on a controversial issue. And it started last week when I was getting ready to do my message for Easter, which you all know I'm a Christian. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm a Christian. I'm proud to be a Christian. And last week was our day was Easter, so Holy Week, and we were celebrating and we were doing everything. And then a couple of things happened that just kind of shook me a little bit as a Christian. Like, who would dare, come and say something anti to a Christian at Easter time? Who would dare do some things that were very belittling or, controversial to a Christian? And just to kind of be point about this, I know Johnny and Pastor had an issue with something that happened on, and they'll share theirs in a minute. But with mine, and I really even hate to even give it any publicity, but I have to tell you exactly kind of what happened. But I was watching one of my favorite shows on Saturday night, and I always like to kind of get relaxed, get a little laugh in, whatever. Well, this particular night, the show decided to make a laugh at Easter. And to the point that, it really got very offensive to me. I was very uncomfortable. You ever been in that situation where people are talking about stuff that as a Christian you should not be talking about, you shouldn't be listening to, and you certainly shouldn't be laughing at it? Well, I felt that way, and I was like really upset because there's this thing that's going around, and we'll talk about a little bit later on about this gentleman who's doing this new song out, and he's got tennis shoes to go with it, and it's got a lot of satanic things associated with the tennis shoe and the blood in the shoe, and him going down to hell and giving Satan a lap dance. Well, anyway, they were talking on the show about it and kind of making fun about it, and I felt uncomfortable because I don't really dilly-dally around with satanic stuff. Whether I'm laughing, I'm not, there's nothing to laugh about for me. And as a Christian, I don't think it's something to take lightly. Well, then they were saying something about, well, you need to do equal treatment for God and give God a lap dance. And I was like, the whole color drained out of my face. And I'm thinking, surely they're not going to do this. Well, long story short, they did it on TV. And that was just like, I couldn't sleep the whole night. I was sick. I was to the point of tears and frustration. And I was like, my God, what is this world coming to when they can laugh at our Christ and make fun of our Christ and our God and think nothing of it? What in the world is this world coming to? And I think sometimes people think, well, they know we're just laughing, we're just joking. And sometimes people want you to become numb to this stuff. But I had to ask myself, how does God feel about this? Does he think it's funny? I wouldn't think it was funny if somebody came and did that to me or did it to my husband or my child or something. I wouldn't think it was funny. So certainly I didn't think it was funny with God. So anyway, I went on to kind of ask some other Christians what they thought about it. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Not necessarily just that, but we got to thinking like, hey, everybody's doing it. They're doing it in the commercials. They're doing it on the YouTube. They're doing it on the internet. They're doing it everywhere. They're doing it on the videos. Everywhere you look, the award services, commercials, it's just like it's going a little too far with the character and the morality of it for me as a Christian, for what I was brought up. And I know some people say, oh, she's old fogey, but I try to be relevant. I try to be really open to, being not so old fogey, but some things, there's just a line. There's got to be a line. that you will say enough is enough. So I kind of wanted to see what other people had to say to see if am I being too overly sensitive about this. So this morning, Pastor Johnny had a show on. He was talking about, not a show. His message was talking about, being a witness, because Satan has witnesses that go tell lies all the time. And you know what's going on in this world right now. We're seeing so many lies that even the churches are allowing to let it go forth. And they're not saying anything about the lies because they don't want to hurt their other church members' feelings. They don't want to lose members, and it's like, well, what does God say about it? How does he feel? And so one of the words that God gave me in my quiet time back in November was truth. He said, the word for 2021 is truth. And I said, truth. So I kind of been studying and watching it, and it has become really the word for 2021. Why? Because there's so many lies going around, and people are becoming numb to them and saying it's okay. Even the church has looked the other way and said, well, they're just, trying to be this or just trying to be that. They're not all of that. But if it's not what the Bible says, I'm thinking we got to stand up for it. Kind of let me know, y'all guys, what is the responsibility of the church in response to what the world is giving us? It's like they're pushing it in our face and saying, hey, let us say what we want to say, but you better not say anything about it, because then I have a right to say free speech, but you don't have a right to say my free speech is offending you or your word, what you believe. And I think like, okay, God. So I asked a couple of Christian people, and they were all like, well, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want to. And I was like, okay, I get what you're saying, but what about God's feelings? What about what we feel as Christians? Because I was very offended, and I didn't know what to do. Do I write the show? Do I, just stop watching it? What do I do? And so we've got to talk about this, because our children, our next generation, they're being impacted, they're being affected, they're being formed and transformed, into thinking as the world thinks. So what is the responsibility of the church when it comes to telling the truth to the children, as opposed to what they're seeing on TV and commercials and all of these other things, to try to pull them over to that side of thinking, of being? What is the responsibility of the church? What is the responsibility of Christians? Do we have a responsibility, or do we just ignore it and say, oh, well, that's not my business. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just going to be quiet. What about the parents? What is the responsibility of the parents? When you look at some of the things that the children are doing and saying, even to their own parents, how they talk back to them, how they dress, how they carry themselves amongst each other, the opposite sex. What is the responsibility of the parents? And then what is the responsibility of the village? God rest her soul, Sister Pat she was our patrol person of the village. And if you had anything out of order, that dress was too short, you were going to hear about it from Sister Pat. If you said something inappropriate, Sister Pat was going to yank you to the side and get you straight. She didn't care what your mama said, what the pastor said, nobody said. She saw it as her responsibility to correct the person in love, because she saw that as her village. She loved these kids, and she would always say, she started off by saying this, now, I would never say nothing to hurt your feelings. She said, Mama Pat love you, right? And Mama Pat want the best for you, right? And you said, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. Well, baby, let me just tell you something. What you did the other day, what you said the other day, where you went the other day, and then she would lay into you. Anybody ever been told off by Sister Pat? She told me my dress was too tight one time, and it was pretty tight. But what the problem was, I gained a little weight, and it wasn't tight like that when I bought it. But by the time I put pounds, it was a little tight there. And then back in the day when the splits were in, I think it made the split go up a little bit higher or open up a little bit, whatever. So, at the time I was like, okay, lady, you need to mind your own business, because I don't have no money to buy clothes. But I appreciated her, and I didn't wear it anymore, because when I look at it, and especially us as Black, we've got all these curves. So when a person is straight, it's okay. Person's curved, it's like up and round and about, moving as you move. right? So when you move, it moves. So we need to be careful about that, especially when you're on stage, up in front of the pulpit and you're singing in the choir and that kind of thing. So I want to talk about that today. So what I did, I got a group of people together here, and I've got some young people because it's not just old fogies. I want to hear, and they have not been prompted. I kind of told them what we're going to be talking about, and I told them I want to hear your honest truth. You help us understand, because if you don't know what a person is thinking, then you can't interact with them in dialogue to help them understand how their thinking is off, or how maybe your thinking is off. But if you don't talk about it, then you don't know how to correct it. Pastor always used to say in staff meeting that dialogue reveals incoherent thoughts. So until you start speaking it, we don't know that you have incoherent thoughts inside your head that you're acting out on, that you're, emotionally responding to. So we have to let you talk. We have to listen. So I am here to listen today, and I want to let the young people come on first and talk to us. I want to introduce them to you. And so if you will, just tell us what your name is, how old you are, and then we'll come back and ask you. The question is going to be first, what kind of things influence young people these days? That's going to be the question number one. And question number two is, what is everybody saying about these issues? What do you think? What do your friends think? Let's start them like this. Mike, why don't we start with the man first in the house? Introduce yourself.
I'm
Hey.
Michael Walker. I'm 14 years old.
Okay. Very good. Next, Alea. She might be stuck. Go ahead. We'll come back to you then, because I think yours is stuck. Hannah? We can't hear you. You're muted.
I keep getting.
Okay, go a little bit closer and talk loud. Okay. All right, we'll come back. I know Hannah, I think Hannah's 19. You may have to put it in the chat room, but we couldn't hear you, Hannah. And we couldn't, and Aaliyah, we couldn't hear you. Aaliyah, are you able to come through now? Looks like we're having a little problem with them. Okay, Mike, it's on you. And we'll have to get them, once they get their internet straight and come back, then we'll let them jump in as well. Okay, so Mike, let me ask you a question here, okay? One of the things that we're talking about is what influences young people these days? What would you say this influences young people?
Probably social media for sure, because
Yeah.
like they'll see people that they like follow and stuff that have like a pretty good fan base, but like it doesn't matter. Those if the people they follow will do something, it can be wrong. They don't care because they'll see it as like, oh, I follow them, I got to be like them. I'm gonna do what they do, even if it's not good. I don't really care,
Yeah, because it's important to be cool. It's important to be a part of the group, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been that way with teenagers. I mean, even when I was coming along, people back in my days, it's the old days, they would skip school. I know y'all don't do that anymore, but they would skip school. They know it's wrong, but everybody was kind of doing, not everybody, but a lot of people were doing it. So they wanted to be cool and not say no. People would talk about you, so they would do it just to go along and be popular, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Hannah, are you get your mic straight there? How old are you? They're froze again. There you go. Go ahead. Oh, shucks. I'm hoping you can get that straight. You're so pretty. I'm just such an intelligent young lady, too. So we're still having a problem. We can't get that straight just yet, but just keep trying and jump in anytime so you can just let me know when it gets straight, okay? All right. So, Mike, this is one I'm really wanting to ask you about, the dress. Okay. The guys are wearing these saggy pants. Why do they wear saggy pants?
Well, I don't know, because I don't do that. I find it pretty weird because like sagging your pants, that can mean a lot of different things. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that's not something I want to be a part of anyway. Having like my stuff exposed to other dudes, no.
Hmm.
So I don't know why they do that.
Yeah. But it turns okay. Let me ask you about the girls, because I know you see the girls. Um, the girls are dressed. How do the girls dress? Tell me about how the girls dress.
They like to show a lot, like
Uh,
a lot of stuff.
a lot of stuff like their ankles and stuff.
No, no, not yet, not their ankles.
But a lot of things they shouldn't be showing, right?
Exactly.
I know the midriff has got them out now. They all want to midriff and the thighs, and dresses have to be really, really short. So just be honest with me. And then I know they're seeing this off of other TV shows and things like that. So what do you as a guy think about when you see a girl with a short, tight dress with a midriff out? What are you thinking about?
Well, I mean, like, I don't really like look at them like that because I'm like, oh, cool, you know what I mean? But
Uh-huh.
like, they don't seem like a type of girl that my mom would like, especially. So like, I wouldn't even think about talking to them because I know that if my mom wouldn't like me talking to them, like, there's no point even trying it because it's not gonna happen.
It's not coming in. You're not gonna be able to bring her inside the house like that, huh?
Never.
Yeah. And I told my boys the same thing. I'm like, look, okay, I know there's some girls you talk to, whatever, don't get involved in that. But my boys used to say the same thing, that I'm not gonna bring home a girl like that because I know exactly that you're not gonna like that. Okay, so Hannah, are you in yet? Just jump in whenever. I'm so upset because Hannah, I don't know. Maybe you can do the radio, the phone. Tisha, maybe the phone will pick up sometimes a little bit better. So then, Mike, I gotta ask you this question, okay? Because we're leading up to this to dress. I know things that really. You said social media, which is a lot about bullying and saying nasty things and saying whatever they want to say about stuff that's inappropriate on social media. Um, and I know you don't do that because your mom, would probably take you out. Your
Yeah, she
dad
goes
too.
through
But
my phone.
anyway, so, but do you think that it's wrong for us to say, as old people, to say that people should not be able to say what they want to say?
No, I don't. Well, I don't think so. I mean, it all depends on what you want to say. I mean,
Yeah.
because like I know sometimes someone will make me mad, and I'll be like, I want to say something to them, but I'm like, I wouldn't want people talking to me like that. So I just like I keep it to myself. Just like don't say nothing. Feel me?
Okay. So let's get to the really big thing, that's issues that's going on relevant to now. And we're talking a lot about these tennis shoes and this song that's out and video that's out. Are the kids watching this, or
Oh
just
yeah.
a lot of them?
I actually had a situation in my Spanish class where a couple of my friends they got kicked out because my Spanish teacher, really big Christian, right? Always
Uh-huh.
talking about Jesus stuff like that. She's cool, but she can be a lot sometimes. But they
Right.
started like humming the beat, and I guess she had known what it was, and so she gave them both office referrals for singing satanic content in her classroom because
Oh,
they were like
wow.
they were mocking her about it because she was like getting really upset about them singing it. So they would go up to her desk, get in her face, and start singing it and stuff until she almost like started crying about it.
Wow. So they're singing satanic things in the teachers' faces?
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. And this is why I'm saying, do we ignore this, Christians? Do we ignore this, parents? Do we ignore this, church, youth pastors? Do we just ignore this? What is our job as Christians? Because a lot of times we don't know this is going on, but it is going on. And it's becoming to where everybody, quote unquote, is doing it. So let's see, I think I've got the youth pastors on here. So I want to know, what is the responsibility, Jordan and Michelle, when we've got this thing coming up here, and I wanted to I know I got some stats from one of my teammates here about, they said it was 666 pair of shoes that were created. That's satanic for 666. And they sold all of them out. I think they cost $1,000 a pair, a shoe. And so, and they were all sold out within, I'm going to let, who gave me that information earlier? Was that Deborah or who was that? Shelly. Shelly, come on in and tell us about this. Come on, Shelly.
Yes.
Shelly's a school teacher.
Yes, I'm a school teacher. And actually, I had no knowledge about these shoes until one of my students told me. He said, "Have you heard about these shoes that have blood in them?" I was like, "What? How is that possible?" So, and then after you were talking about this artist, I said, "Well, let me read about it and find out about this shoe." So, there is a drop of blood, a mix with red ink, and the company that designed the shoes, the group that designed it was 6 of them. They each put a drop of blood in the shoes. So they took blood from each other for 5 days, and it was 6 people, and they did it several times a day so that they could mix the blood with the ink. And like you said, there were only 666 pairs of shoes made, and that's, like you said, that's satanic, that's the mark of the beast. And also, the shoes sold out within 1 minute of hitting the internet.
Wow.
$1,018 for these shoes, and they sold out in 1 minute.
Wow.
I mean, they cost $1,000, and they sold out in 1 minute. Yes.
Yeah.
And
so that shows you the power of the internet.
Yes, the power of the internet, exactly.
And every kid is on there. Every kid is on there.
Exactly.
So Pastor Johnny, Pastor who is that? Jordan. Pastor Jordan, youth pastors there. You got your hands full. What is the responsibility of the church? Do we just mind our own business or what?
No, we definitely can't mind our own business. We definitely can't be silent. I think more than ever now, it's time for the church to stand for something. And that may be shocking to hear, because as adults and people who regularly go to church may feel like, well, we do stand for stuff. But I think over the years, we have just kind of how God's people did when they were in a foreign land. We've kind of mixed and mingled with the culture, and a lot of it's been diluted, and we have been more accepting and more passive in a lot of areas. And so we have to start standing for something. The problem is it's never, should we say anything, but I think more than ever now is how we say something. This generation is easily influenced, but also very easily offended. And so I think our tactics that may have worked when we were younger, and our approaches that worked when we were younger, even the approaches that worked 5 or 6 years ago, are not going to work now in reaching this generation. And they are open-minded thinkers, which is a good thing. As a Christian, they're open to learning. So it doesn't mean they're necessarily against what you say, but they're just not going to take everything you say at face value and just believe it. They're going to research. They're going to, hear other opinions. They're going to test it. And so we have to make sure our approach is one that's firm, that's solid, but that's also done out of love, and also that's done creatively, because arts and we have people whose careers now are influencers. They're on social media. Their whole career is to be an influencer. They influence, and they're creative with their posts. They're creative with their lifestyle, and we have to be more creative with what we do. We can't just expect people to come to church, to a building, listen to us speak, and think that's going to change their lives. Now we have to be more creative with what we do. And the last thing I'll say, just on as my initial statement, is that the Christian family is needed more than ever now. I think one of the worst things that's been done to this generation is the brokenness of the family, and the absence of the parents. And I don't mean like the parents aren't in the home. I mean parents are in the home and not knowing what's going on. They don't know about the shoes. They don't know about the music their kids are listening to. they're not having conversations. They're working 12 hours a day and spending 30 minutes with their kids and doing this for several years and hoping that, you know, the teachers and the youth pastors raise them. And more than ever now, it's time for parents to really step up and raise a Christian home, because the messages are getting to their kids whether they know it or not. And so that's what I would.
Yeah.
That's my, you know, initial statement towards that.
Okay. Very good. Well, hang on. I want to ask some of the young people. Let's see, Hannah or Aaliyah. Can you all tell me, what do you think is the answer? What's going on with the girls and their dressing and them going after the bad boy that does that? Let's see. Aaliyah, is your mic working?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's hear from you first. Tell me what you see. How old are you?
Oh, I'm 16.
16. Okay, good.
It's kind of hard to say what exactly is going on, because I mean, I can definitely say it's not a spur of the moment thing. Since the start of the 20th century, you've seen the dress of women like slowly deteriorate into less clothing. And so, I mean, I just think we finally reached a point to where it's acceptable for us to go out in practically nothing in society, of course. And I also think it plays along to a lot of girls, they have a lack of self-confidence. A lot of them, they have the lack of attention from fathers, and like they just need to feel, I guess, worthy. If you spend a lot of time not loving yourself, not understanding your value, your worth, then you're going to try to show off how valuable you think you are in any way possible, even though in reality it makes you seem like you don't value yourself. So I really think it's more of a mental thing and a self-worth thing that a lot of girls in my generation is experiencing. And we also come from like a really free generation, you know, like our generation is really unique, and I can't compare it to anybody else. We're just very open-minded and very open in a lot of other ways. So that also plays into it.
Wow. That's a very good answer. I was just writing down a little note of something you said, that a lot of girls your age and teenage girls have low self-esteem, and they try to show how valuable they are with being a part of the group, or to be popular, or to talk a certain way, or dress a certain way. They're trying to show how valuable they are, when in reality they're diminishing their value and they don't even know it. And that was really something very profound. So thank you so much. Let's see, Hannah, is your microphone on now? Let's see, can you share with me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yay, I'm glad you got on. Okay, Hannah, how old are you? And then if you can just kind of talk about what we just talked about a minute ago, share whatever you'd like to share with us.
I'm 19, and I don't really say anything because I know that they feel confident in their body. But I know that some outfits can be like drastic and over the top. But I don't really say anything because I know that they want people to see it. And social media can be a bit toxic. So if they know that they're going to get comments that are bad or good, then that's on them. But I choose to uplift them. But if the outfits are like really revealing, then I just don't say anything.
Wow. So I heard something you said there that I think I wrote down about comments. I think social media is a great thing, but I think some people, like you just said, they want the feedback. They want the comment. They want the like. They want the wow, look at this. They want somebody to say, oh my goodness. And they're thinking that it's beautiful, but some people saying, oh my goodness, does she realize what she looks like or what she said? It's kind of a shock thing. And then the other thing you said too is that, you know, you just don't say anything. So sometimes if somebody's not saying you look good, it's because they don't think you look good, but they don't want to hurt your feelings. Would that be true?
Yeah.
Just don't want to hurt their feelings, so just don't say anything. And that's what our parents always taught us too. If you can't say anything nice, just don't say anything. And I think that a lot of Christians got caught up into that. But now it's like the other side, which I'm gonna call the world, is saying whatever they want to say, however they want to say it. They do whatever they want to do, and then they shove it in the Christian's face and tell the Christians, "Don't you say anything." And the Christians were like, "Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to hurt their feelings, but they have hurt yours." I tell you, I was devastated my feelings were totally hurt, and I was just really, like I said, at the point of tears, because we're going through this study talking about hope, and I almost felt hopeless. Does the world have a hope? And God was saying to me, yes. He said, you Christians are to be salt, but you have lost your savor. You know, you put salt on something, you can tell the difference once you taste it, right? But they're saying as Christians, people are coming around us and they are no different. You can't tell they've been around us, but a lot of times you can tell we've been around them because we're dressing like them, acting like them, talking like them. So who has the salt? They have the salt. They're not supposed to be the salt. They're not supposed to be the light, but they're influencing us instead of us influencing them. So I want to ask you this, girls, because it's mostly the girls that I'm hearing a lot about that I'm really concerned about. I don't know if it's because I'm a woman. Did y'all watch the Grammys?
No, I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
Okay. Yeah.
You watched some of it? What'd you think about it?
It was kind of odd to see, like, oh, okay, this is what we're allowing on television. You know, like, it was just weird to see how far we've come.
How far we'll go.
Yes,
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, because the dress, I mean, the dancing and things like that, I mean, like, wow. It was, is that the way y'all dancing when y'all go to proms and things like that? I'm like, I said, no wonder my kids wouldn't let me go. I want to go chaperone the proms, and they told me they had enough parents. But I'm like, if that's the way they're dressing or whatever, I see why they didn't want me to go. Okay. So would you say that the way the kids are dancing, and these are the songs that you're learning, does that influence the kids? Do they sing those songs? Do they dance that way because their favorite singer is doing that?
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Like the TikTok, if they see an influencer do it, then they'll probably do it to seem cool, and then they'll do it over and over again until they get famous. And then if some people say, yeah, TikTok.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think that as a young woman, though, let me ask you this. What do you think that we could do, our parents could do, to help young ladies know that is not appropriate?
Well, I would say that if you didn't start it off young, there's not going to be a lot that you can do. You're gonna kind of have to hope and pray that they'll see a different way of representing themselves, but it starts off young, really. And but if you are in a situation where, like, you have a young girl who's older and who's presenting herself in a certain way, then you should definitely try to make sure that you represent yourself the way that you want her to represent herself, and that you show her what the Bible says about how a woman should represent herself. And instead of just saying, oh, well, open the Bible and see how you should be looking, like, show her the Bible verses. Show her that, yes. And really, I would just say start as young as possible and make sure that she understands that self-worth doesn't mean it's what you're wearing, how many jewels you have on, what your bra size is, or anything else like that. It's really what's on the inside. And if you are valuable on the inside, then whatever you have on the outside will show that.
Okay, very good. I think that's very good. You were talking about teaching and training. So the church does have the home first when they're young, but then the church can also reinforce that. But you're saying it starts in the home when they're very young. This little cute stuff that your little 3-year-old can drop it like it's hot is not cute, because then you let her drop it when she's 3. By the time she's 16, she's dropped everything. So
Yes.
yeah, and it's too late to try to tell her, honey, don't do that. It doesn't look cute because you've been reinforcing it your whole life. So now all of a sudden now when she gets to turn 14, 15, 16, it's too late. Hannah, what do you say?
Mhm. The same thing. Really, I don't really have anything to say, but she was right. Like, I know a few of my friends who like to dress, provocatively, and I told them, hey, it's a cute outfit, but maybe you shouldn't really show that much skin, and they would get like a bit offended, and I'm like, I'm just trying to help you because there are like, creepy people, and they might try to talk to you, and then you're gonna be like, well, I don't know why they try to talk to me or why they're doing this, but I'm trying to give you advice, and they're not taking it, and so I just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I hope that's good. I think that's very brave of you, but it's also more than bravery. It's about love. When you love a person, you tell them when they're wrong.
Mhm.
Because I remember we had a little joke out when I was in college. Like it's funny back then, but now I think about it, it was our way of saying it that doesn't look good on her. We would say, "Oh, somebody lied to her before she left the house this morning. Somebody lied to her, you know, because she thought if she knew what she looked like, she would have come out looking like that. So somebody lied, okay?" And that was our little joke in college. But the truth of it is, we were really kind of ashamed or fearful to say it to her face. So we would kind of make a joke about it. Do y'all joke about the ladies or the girls or men behind their backs when they're dressed like that? Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to like Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, like yeah,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
the normal girl who's probably just going through something, wearing shorts that's a little bit too tight.
Mhm.
Nah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just let her be.
Yeah. But well, good, good, good. Okay. Where did Michael go? Michael, what are you saying about these girls here? He already said he can't bring them home to mama. But what do you think the answer? Give us some advice give us some old folk and your youth pastor. What do we need to do?
Honestly, I think that I don't like it personally. Like, cause I don't like they're showing themselves off to everybody, and so like, say if they got like a boyfriend or something, right?
Uh-huh.
They're not gonna change just because they're dating someone, and they're
Right.
most likely not gonna be loyal because they're just trying to impress other men while they're already with someone, and so
Ooh.
at that point, they just look easy. You know what I mean? And I don't like.
Oh. I've heard that word before, and that was back in the old days. When I was younger, it would say, that one looks like easy prey right there, and they would sit out, on the freshman when the freshmen came on the campus, a lot of the fraternities, I'm not gonna call which fraternities they were, but they would sit around the student union building and watch the freshmen come in, and they would say, "That one right there, easy, easy. Yeah, I'm gonna be with that. I'm gonna get that." They would talk that. Do y'all talk like that still? I mean, the boys talk like that with girls?
Some people, but they don't refer to them as easy. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
They refer to them as other things.
Oh, like the other words that we can't mention?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that's even worse than easy. But okay, Pastor Jordan, you and Michelle there. So what is going to be the resolve for the church part? Then we're going to get to the parents because I have some counselors here who talk a lot with parents and teachers, and we're going to get to the school and to the parents in just a minute. So Pastor Jordan, what do you got to say? Oh, I think he's frozen right now. He's driving, so. But I know he mentioned to me earlier that they are going to get with the parents. So let's go to the parent part. Okay, Tracy and who's the other one that was telling me about talking with the parents? I know you're a counselor, and so how do you have to handle this issue at school? Can't hear you.
About that, yes, ma'am, all the time. One of the things I do, myself and I think somebody, I think Aaliyah mentioned this, which is more important than ever talking to a student, is being an example.
Okay.
When my students see me, I want them to see a woman who takes pride in what she looks like, who's
Mhm.
respectable, someone who, who has an air about them that says, I know this lady loves the Lord. So that's important before I even start talking to them. But I see this all day, every day in the schools. And when I'm calling parents, that's my message to my parents. We can't get on them if we're not doing the right thing.
Mhm.
We have to
So,
show
do you
ourselves in the right
mean
manner.
do you think the parents are in the right manner, or what do you? I mean, I know you
A
say
lot,
as
a lot of the parents,
you're there, but what about the parents?
a lot of them are very defensive, and I'm seeing more of them wanting to be more like a friend than a parent.
Mhm.
Whoa.
I see
Well,
more of that than being a parent, and
Mhm.
then I walk him through the consequences of that. I wasn't a good friend with my mom until I was grown and gone.
Mhm.
okay. Exactly.
That's
I
how we
tell
did
my
it.
kids, I'm not your friend. I'm your
That
mother.
we
Okay.
weren't buddies until I left, and I
Yeah.
respect that, and I
I'm not
appreciate
your
that
friend.
today. She was a
Right.
mother. She told me right from wrong. She got in my face and she said, "Take that off.
Exactly.
It's inappropriate. Take
Hmm.
that off. You're gonna attract the wrong kind of man." That's
Hmm.
what these babies are missing. They need somebody saying, "This does not look respectable."
Right.
And you can
And
love them and do it. I do it all the time. Sweetheart, come here. Good morning. How you doing? I think you're beautiful. That skirt is too short.
let's get to the point.
Yes.
Well, and I think you're absolutely right. We have to, because they're kids, they really don't know. And the Bible, I like to go back to the Bible, and this is what gets me about us as being silent, because the Bible is very clear about what your rights are as a parent and expectations, more so than rights. Your expectations from God, the Bible says that you are to train them. Okay, they're not to train you. And I've seen so many kids
Mhm.
where they're training the parents,
That's right.
and the world is training them. So it's kind of all out of whack. So when they come to you, or when you go to them as a counselor, you've got to have the support of the other part of the village, which is the parents. And so, would you say most of the time you get support from the parents, or most of the time are defenders of their children?
It's kind of half and half. I get a good amount of parents that say, you know what, I appreciate you calling me. Let's work together. It takes a village. Keep your eyes on her. Appreciate you. Thank you. Then you get the other side. They think you're judging them as a parent. And I'm not judging you as a parent. I want to work with you. I want to collaborate so that we can make sure that she knows at school and at home that the expectations are the same. We're on the same page. We're looking out for her best
Wow.
interest.
Wow, I just read from Petra. Petra says, I see mothers dressing like their daughters, going to clubs with their young adults at 21 years of age. So
Mm-hmm.
you got a child that's 21 years of age and you're in the club with them and y'all dressing like teenagers, and somebody trying to hit on you that's your daughter's age. And I
Mhm.
think that, when my kids were younger, there was a song that came out that says, "It's my prerogative. I can do what I want to do." I think, and so they're now that group, they are the parents. So I think they got in there and realized I can do what I want to do. And now they have kids and they're telling you can do what you want to do too. You're just free, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to be one of those mean mothers and tell you can't do. As a matter of fact, let's both go to the club together. Let's be best friends. You can't do it. Okay, come on. Let's see. Shelly, tell us what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that like Pastor Jordan was saying, and Tracy, we have to when I talk to children at school, I do the same thing. I tell them the good part first. I think you're a beautiful girl, but those pants are too tight. And it's just like Pastor Jordan said, it's the way you say it, so that
Yeah.
you're being helpful and they don't feel like it's an attack. But I did want to say this. I looked at that video with Megan Thee Stallion on the Grammys, and I thought about the way Satan is so deceitful. He mixes something positive with something negative,
Exactly.
because those girls, there were two girls that were tap dancing. and those
Mhm.
girls rocked it. I mean,
They were good.
they
Yeah.
were so good. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, they didn't have to dress like that to show that talent,
Mm-mm.
but he mixes it. So,
Yeah.
you kind of think, oh, well, they were so good. Let them wear what they want to wear.
Yeah. We
But
don't want to hurt their feelings.
exactly. But no, we still have to stand up for the truth, and we have to stand up for what's right. And we have to
Yeah.
we have to tell our children. And I
Hmm.
like, my kids are grown now, but um, I share a lot, especially with the girls at school.
Hmm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think the main thing, like you were saying, or somebody before, Trace was saying, or Petra, I think, was that a lot of parents want to be their children's friend,
Mm-hmm.
and they are wanting to relive their young adulthood through their child. So I didn't get to go to the club, so let's go together. Let's have a drink together. Let's dress together. So I think we have to really watch this. I've seen it before. Like I said, even in the church where you can't tell the mother from the daughter because they're both dressing
Yeah.
the same
Yes,
way,
yes, yes,
talking
yes.
the same way, and they'll get offended if you say anything. Okay, Sister Flair, what do you think?
I was saying the same thing with the children, but then I thought about when we do the Mardi Gras parades,
Uh-huh.
and
Oh
you see the
yeah.
little girls, the babies, and I mean
Yes.
3, 4-year-olds in the dance groups,
Uh-huh.
and everybody is excited about these little girls
Right.
dancing and
Mhm.
all
And
of the
they can
stuff.
do it too. I've
And
seen
I'm
them move.
looking
I'm
at
like,
the
oh my
parents,
goodness.
right? And they know exactly what to do. And I'm looking at the
Yes.
parents and the people around who are encouraging them. And I'm like, this is not cute. This is
Mm-mm.
not cute, because when they get to be 12, 13, and they're still doing this, then you're going to be upset when somebody says they touched me or this man is
Exactly.
looking at me. But you're
Right.
allowing your 3-year-old to be on Facebook. You're allowing your
Right.
4-year-old to make these poses and these dances and just showing stuff that's not cute. And
Yeah.
the parents have to stop that. The parents have to teach these children,
They got to
what's
grow up
cute and what's
first.
not cute. Right,
Yeah.
right. They're not
Somebody's
children
got to have a
anymore.
talk with the parents to tell them you're grown. You're not in your 20s anymore.
Yes,
You're 35, you're 40, you're 45. And I've seen parents in their 40s and 50s and still acting like they're in their 20s,
yeah.
still dressing like they're in their 20s. Some things I can put on, but if I got up in the pulpit on, y'all be like, oh, somebody need to go get Lady L. She done lost it. She has lost it. Please, that means I have. But
Yeah.
you might be able to fit it. You may have a good shape to get into it, but
Mhm.
you at a different level, you become a role model, and you can still look
Yes.
cute, and you can still look sexy without looking, for lack of a better word, trashy or inappropriate.
Yeah.
However it is, I think just some dresses. I was cleaning out my closet, and some of the dresses were so cute, and I was like, yeah, but that's not me anymore. That was me in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And what looked good on me in my 30s, I could still get in it, but it's not appropriate for me in this age. So we have to leave those seasons, and we have to understand we enjoyed our 20s, we enjoyed our 30s. Let your child have a turn. They
Exactly.
can't have a turn on the dance floor for you doing it. I mean, give them a
Mhm.
turn. Come on in here, Pastor Jordan. Y'all come. Where is your wife? Y'all come on here and join me. Um, so let's see who else I hadn't heard from. Did I hear from Flair? Who else was it? I hadn't talked yet.
Sister.
Is that it? Oh, Sister Deborah. Sister Deborah.
Yes,
Come on.
ma'am.
Sister Deborah used to be a pastor's wife, and up in the. She was really in the church with all these children. Tell us about the church and what are you thinking about this?
Well, I think that we do have to stand up as the church, and we've lost our boldness.
Mm-hmm.
Like the lady, Sister Pat, you were talking about. Now
Uh-huh.
we're afraid to stand up and say, "Baby, that's just not appropriate for church."
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I think we've got to get our boldness back and start
Mm-hmm.
talking to these young
Right.
women, even them young
Right.
men.
And I think it needs to be. You said talking to these young men. I think we need to talk to the parents.
That's
Yeah.
true.
how
Because
do we?
don't buy
How do
the
we? Okay,
clothes.
Michelle, come on over here. I got y'all come behind me. I got the youth pastors of First Metropolitan Church here with us, and they're gonna tell us how do you talk to these parents? What kind of advice would you give a parent to help you be able to do what it is that you want to do?
Sorry.
Can y'all see him? Yeah.
Making sure.
Okay. I think it's gonna be very strong. Go ahead, y'all.
I welcome everyone else sharing that as well, because that's something that we deal with in the ministry, wondering how exactly do we being careful anyways how exactly we address parents. And thankfully we've been met with parents who are mostly receptive and are wanting to know, how is my child when they're with you, or how did they respond to this, or can you speak to my child about these certain things. Or some parents ask, for us to mentor their child, because they seem to be going through a hard time, which is what teenage years are about. I would say, just like everyone, especially like Aaliyah and Jordan were saying, I think in general, you have to come from a place of love and from a relationship. And I think that's just period. The only way you're going to touch anybody is by having a relationship with them.
But do you have a kind of relationship where they can tell you whatever? When what's the guy name that was just told his little son off, his grown son off? What's his name? Kirk Franklin. Okay. One of the things he said, I am not your equal. And I think that sometimes children think that's a bad thing to say to them. But I think you do need to get it straight with the kids that I'm not your best friend. I'm not your equal. I'm your parent. And the Bible has told me my job description is to train you up. And so when you say develop relationship, I think that's one of the things that the parents are getting confused on.
Well, what I meant is as a youth pastor and wife was a youth pastor, I need to form a relationship with the parents to be able to talk to them about their child.
I got it.
So then
they're not offended.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I let them know, if you're interested in your child's well-being, in your child's maturity in Christ, in their spiritual well-being, well, guess what? I have that same thing. Here are the great qualities I see in your child. Here's what I feel like God is telling me about your child. Here's what I've noticed about your child when we're in together. And I wonder if these things would really help your child. Here's Here's some things that I think you can do. And let me tell you what I'm going to do to make sure that your child has the best walk with Christ as possible that he or she can right now. I think that's a great starting place. And I just wanted to mention that I think, just like Aaliyah was saying about leading by example and talking to your kids about the word and all that stuff, again, as a youth pastor and leaders in the ministry, we need to talk to parents about how to do that. Because if it's not their norm, we need to show them how you can do it, how you can talk about how you can pray over dinner and stuff like that. And the same is for the gentleman. Just like there's an easy to create this image that's in the world about a loose woman and a pimping man. There's the pimping man is selling work and making money in nefarious ways and gathering up all the easy women and cussing and living this wild life. Our young men are seeing that same thing, and both sides are being influenced to duplicate, to imitate this lifestyle. Yes. So the fathers have to do the same job.
Very good. All right. I'm going to say this, Pastor Jordan. Did you have anything else you want to say? Let me turn this around so you can.
No, Michelle laid it out. Well, I will say this: working with the younger generation is a challenging job. It's challenging because you really don't always see the reward until later on in life. And I think sometimes we have to remember that we're literally laying the foundation. All of us can go back to when we were 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever, teenagers, and we did some stupid stuff. We did some crazy stuff. We were, I think of things that I said and did that I thought were funny at that time. I didn't think much of it. I was in a different maturity, but I loved God at that time. Like I love him now. I was just immature. And so the world that our youth are growing up in, they're dealing with stuff, the same things we're dealing with, just differently. And
it's internet, so they're exposed to so much more. Y'all would have to try
exposed to a lot more.
And get to those stations, there's very many of them now. You can just Google what you want.
Yeah. So I would say that to parents and youth workers and stuff like that. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. It's tough, but you still have to do the work though. You can't just not work. Parents, don't give up, but you still have to do the work. You can't. You can't. You got to do the work and know that when you start them off right, train up a child in the way they should go. When they're older, they won't depart from it. That's what the word says. But you got to train them up.
You got to work. You got to do the work. And it is not easy raising kids. Yep. And let me just say this too, as we get ready to close. This started off with us talking about, the offense that I had at a show that came on and mocked, God by giving him a lap dance on TV. And then at the end, the person who was over said, "Happy Resurrection Day." It was just a mockery of the Christian faith, and I felt very. Now, the thing that I want you all to understand by this is that Satan is after our children. He's after our children, and so you cannot look the other way, parents, teachers. We need some more Sister Pats out there that will get in your face and tell you, "Baby, I love you, but this was just wrong." We need to understand the reality of what's been pushed up on us, what's being pushed into our children's minds, and to they're trying to tell them this is the way to go. So now they're having the world is talking in their ear and impressing them, and the church is saying, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so I'm not going to say anything. So all your children hear is a talk. All they hear, and they started getting bold with it now that they're actually doing the 666 and the 3 6s, and have your kids wearing tennis shoes. And somebody wrote earlier, who's paying for these tennis shoes? These kids don't have that kind of money. The parents are paying for it. Who's paying for these clothes if these kids are wearing? The parents are paying for it. And so I never forget telling my daughter one time she wanted to buy something. I said, "Not with my money. No, I can say something. I'm not going to have you wearing a long dress like me, but you will not be wearing that, and my money's not going to pay for it." And all these expensive tennis shoes and so forth like that, I just cannot imagine where these kids are getting this money from. And if they have that own personal money, when they don't have a job, you need to be looking to see where are they getting that kind of money from when they come with all these tennis shoes. So parents, y'all got to wake up, because the child was born to you, and it's your responsibility to train them up when they're little. Why do you need to train them up from the very beginning when they're like 2, and start, telling them, no, and meaning it, and maybe even, having some consequences? Because when they're young, they're like clay. You can mold them. When they get to be older, the world is molding them. And when they get to be 12, they are molded. They're into their hormones and their young adult things, and they're starting to desire the things that they have been exposed to. And the internet, they start desiring that. And if they see stuff on TV by artists that are singing these songs that are catchy, that's another trick. The songs are catchy. They got beat to them. I can dance to them. But the words are satanic. The words are to influence your children and to pull them over to the world side. And when you look up, Satan's got them. So there's so much more that can be said. Please give me your comments here. But I think that it starts with the parents, and then we got to be a part of a strong church that will say no, that has a village like Sister Pat in there, and some youth pastors that are good role models for what a couple should be, a married couple. You got to get them in there with a pastor's wife who, they've been married a long time and they have some history and can show you how the Bible wants you to grow and develop. So it's work, guys, but the work is not that hard if you start them when they're young. I started mine off when they were young. I put the fear of God in them, and I laid the holy hand and the belt on them. Not saying, don't abuse your children, okay? But I'm saying that do not let them get away with things and thinking it's cute. You need to have them some time out, some consequences that really matter to them, so that you can save their life. And also, so when they get to be 15 and 16 and 18, you can still love them. Because sometimes parents can't hardly stand their kids because they have raised a monster. Don't raise a monster, and do not let Satan take your child. That's all I have for today. You can see I was very passionate about it. I hope it helps someone. Share with someone else and help make sure that this world that we are allowing to be created, that we speak up, because we've got to live in that world. In our senior citizens' homes, or wherever we are, these are the kids that are going to be telling us and running the world that we have to live in. So let's make sure that we make it biblical and we make it relevant to the Word of God. God bless you. I'll see you next week on Tea Time with Lady O. And next week, we're going to be talking about decluttering. Clean that mess out. We said cleanliness is next to godliness. You got a junky place in your house, in your home, or whatever, it means your mind is cluttered. So join us next week. We got some great tips to tell you how to get it done. We'll see you next time, 3 o'clock for Tea with Lady O.